Hello! So welcome to a lesson. This is a very short one on basic pitch names, okay? Because this is going to be something that you'll get taught on your level, or you'll need to know for your level 2 feeding, okay? So this is a bagpipe scale. Ignore the bottom lines, we're just going to work with the top lines. So the easiest way to understand the basic pitch names is to work with the bagpipe scale. And we've got a treble clef here, and first thing we need to figure out is what on earth are these lines and what on earth are these spaces. So on the bagpipe scale there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines, and how many spaces? Space underneath, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. So the bagpipe scale has 5 lines and 6 spaces. And each one of those lines and spaces shows a different pitch. And you'll have heard the bagpipers playing. They've got so many different pitches or notes that they play. The way they understand or write them out is by using all of these lines and spaces. So this is where you'll realise, drummers, we've got it quite easy. We've got just the one line. Pipers have got 5 lines, and they've also got the spaces between the lines to look at. Quite tricky, okay? So the best way I always remember it is I know that that's a treble clef and it sits on G. Okay, so when you're writing out the treble clef, it always sits on G, which is the second line. So let's write a G for the second line. So you see there? That would be G, the second line. And it goes up from A to G. So there's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 7. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 7 different pitch names, okay? A through to G. So we've already got G. So if you went up a space, your next space would be A, and then it would be on the line B, C, D, E, F, G. Goes up the way like that, or you can go down the way, okay? So if you went down from G, your next one would be F, and then E, down the way that way, okay? So you can go up and down the way. There's a good little mnemonic that a lot of folk use. Every good boy deserves football. Okay, we're not trying to be gender stereotypical here, okay, but it's just a nice wee way of remembering it. So we've got good. The line below would be E, every good B boy. D deserves football! Okay, so that's how another good way of remembering what the lines are on this. So you've got E on the line, the space between the line, which I won't write because it's going to be quite tight to write it on, although I'll maybe write it there. It's going to be quite small. You can't see it, it's very small. Is F, and then you've got G. After G, you're starting again with your alphabet. If I can write that there, that was a bit rubbish. We'll go A, and then you had B. After B is clearly C, and then you've got D. After D is E, and then F, and your last one is G. And then below the line you would have underneath E, the D, yeah. Just having a bit of a mind blank there. Oops. Okay, so if we were to say draw a crotchet on, let me see, C. You would draw a crotchet on C there. Okay? And then if I said draw something on E, in fact, hold on a wee second. I'll get rid of, for the chanter scale, we'll get rid of these ones. Then I'm going to give you a couple of examples to try and do. Let's say I draw a note here. There, I've done a note there. Could you tell me what note that is and what pitch it is? So straight away we know that that note is a quaver because it's got a stem and one tail. And if we look along here, it's on C. So if you are thinking, right, I'm going to use Every Good Boy Deserves Football, so if I put that back up, you could see it goes E, G, Every Good Boy Deserves, and then you're thinking, well, what's between B and D? So after B would be C. So that's the light space there, so that would be C. And I'm going to give you one that I know is on the test. Let's do this. So your note is on the line there. And we'll make it 1, 2, 3 tails. So that note's got 3 tails. Quite tricky to see the bottom one because of the big thick lines. Been using chanter tape for that. So we know that that note has got a stem and 3 tails. So that's a demi-semi-quaver. And if we'll think about Every Good Boy Deserves Football, that's on F. So that is a demi-semi-quaver on F. So it's as easy as that. And if you were asked the duration, okay, so we named the note, that was a demi-semi-quaver. So think back to our duration table, where we worked our way up from semi-breve all the way down to demi-semi-quaver. The fractional value of that note is a 32nd note. And then the fractional value of the quaver was an 8th note. And if we do, I'll do one more. Let's do this. So I'm making it quite big, so you can see it clearly on here. And I will put pictures up on the end of this video to show you as well, which is maybe a bit neater than my drawing. So straight away, what note value is that? Or what note is that even, sorry? It's a minim. So remember the minim had the hollow note head and the stem, similar to the crotchet, the quaver and the demi-semi-quaver, in the sense that it's got the note head. Those note heads are filled in. This one is not. Okay, so it's a minim. The fractional value of the minim was a half note, and the pitch would be Every Good Boy. The pitch is B, because it's sitting on that line there. Hopefully you all understand this, and what I'm going to do is I'll just rub out the ones that I've done there. And I'm going to draw a few up for you. I'm going to give you a second to try and figure them out, and then we'll talk about them at the end. I'll do 4. So there's 4. Let's give you a wee second to think about those ones and see if you can answer them for me. Right, let's have a look at them. I kind of popped in there. Right, so we'll look at the very first one. So let's have a look at the note. Filled in note head with just a stem. That tells me that that's a crotchet. The fractional value of the crotchet was a quarter note. And if we work up Every Good Boy Deserves Football, it's an F. So that's a crotchet, which is a quarter note, and it's an F. Second one, filled in note head, stem, 2 tails, tells me that that's a semi-quaver. Fractional value of the semi-quaver is a 16th note. Every Good, it's on G, it's on the G line, so that's a G. Semi-quaver, on G, and it's a 16th note. Next one, filled in note head, stem, single tail, tells me that's a quaver. Fractional value of the quaver is an 8th note, and it's Every Good Boy. So what's after B is C. So the space is C. So that tells me that is a quaver, which is an 8th note, and it's written on the pitch C. And then the last one here, we've got a hollow note head with 1 stem, tells me that that's a minim. And then the fractional value of a minim is a half note. Every good boy deserves. So D, what's after D in the alphabet is E. So that space is E. So that tells me it's a minim, which is a half note, and it's written on E. And we'll rub these out, and I'll do one more. So the chanter scale goes up to A. And you'll notice, well, there isn't a line there. I know there's not a line. This is where we incorporate ledger lines. So a ledger line is a short additional line placed either above the staff or below the staff. And it shows notes out with the range of that staff. And the staff being the 5 lines here. So the 5 lines is the standard pitches. A note or pitch out with that, we have to do a ledger line. So say you wouldn't have that line all the time. Let's say somebody's wanting to write something on A, then you would end up having to do the said note. Let's say we're going to do a crotchet on A, high A. You need to put a wee line through it like that. Just a little line. And that tells you that that note is out with the range of the staff. And that line going through it there is a ledger line. And it's exactly the same as these lines, but you just put a little line through it, and that tells you that that is A. So here pipers refer to low A, high A. Low A would be here, high A would be there. Okay? So if I was to say, or drew on the staff this, you'd be like, right, well, straight away, that has to be high A. So you've got every good boy deserves football. The space above F would be G. The next line would have been A. So that's A. So that's high A. Filled in note head with a stem means it's a crotchet. And the fractional value of the crotchet is a quarter note. So it's a crotchet, which is a quarter note, written on high A. Does that make sense? I'll maybe do it once more. So if and you can do it below the staff as well, but the chanter scale or the bagpipes don't play notes as low as that. Okay, so you don't need to worry about that for now. So every good boy deserves football, G. Next one would be there, A. So let's say I do this, or you get on the test, you see that. That's a demi-semi-quaver, but it's got your wee ledger line through it there. So that tells me straight away that that's out with the range of this staff. So it's higher, sharper, okay? Every good boy deserves football. Next space is G. Next line would have been A. So that's A. And you'll hear it referred to as high A, okay? On the test it will maybe ask you, what is that? If it's got the line through it and it's above that, don't just write A, because you'll get it wrong. Okay, because there's 2 A's. That A and that A. High A, that would be referred to as low A, okay? Excuse me. As would high G, low G. They're the only 2 that are repeating themselves as you go through the alphabet, like we said before. So we know that that is a filled in note head, stem, 3 tails. So it's a demi-semi-quaver. Fractional value of the demi-semi-quaver is a 32nd note, and it's written on high A because of the ledger line. So hopefully this makes complete sense to you, because I will give everybody who's sitting tests like this blank manuscript like this, okay, so you'll get a chance to draw treble clefs, all the other clef signs. You'll get a chance to have a shot at figuring out what the lines are and what the spaces are, and it just makes everything easier for you. So when you go to do the test, you're not panicking, thinking, oh my god, what is this? You've had a go of it before. So to refresh very quickly, bagpipe staff has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. 5 lines, 6 spaces. And then treble clef was written on G, and the way to remember was E, every good boy deserves football. And then the spaces between the lines were the same, or the letter which wasn't said before. So every good, so you'd be E, F, G, A, boy, C, deserves, E, football, G, and then your high A with the ledger line. And remember, the ledger line was a short line placed above or below the staff to indicate the note or the pitch is out with the range of that staff. Okay? So that concludes our very short, I say short, it turned out to be quite long, lesson on pitch names.